What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be talking about what I consider to be the best close-range SMG in Warzone. And this is the Cold War MP5, not the Modern Warfare one, but the Cold War version. Now, it might sound a little weird that I said best close-range SMG, like of course it should be good at close range, it's an SMG. But what I mean by this is, in my opinion, the Cold War MP5 is the most dominant SMG for very close quarter situations. Like we're talking within about 10 meters or so, like if you're in the same room as somebody, this is going to be your most dominant bet currently in Warzone. There are absolutely far more versatile SMGs out there, like the Bullfrog for instance. I love the Bullfrog, and I still use the Bullfrog quite a bit because it's so versatile. It has a much better range value, it's more accurate, it's better when you hit headshots, at least currently, until we see the nerf for it, which could be coming at any moment now. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify there, I'm in no way saying the Cold War MP5 is the best SMG overall in a wide variety of situations. I just consider it to be the best if we're talking about really close range situations. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing the basic stats and why I feel it is so good and so dominant up close. And I'm also going to share a very interesting class setup that I think a lot of you guys are going to like. And it includes something that's often overlooked, and this may be a game changer for some of you guys out there. So first up, let's have a look at the basic stats of this. Our max damage to the entire torso is 33, and our rate of fire is 856 rounds per minute, which is very fast. What this means is against no armor plates, our time to kill is 210 milliseconds, which is really fast, just like basically every other gun. However, our 3-plate time to kill, which is the one that we typically focus on because once you get your loadout, most enemies will end up having full armor plates. With this, our time to kill is one of the fastest in the game right now for full auto guns at 491 milliseconds. I believe the only SMG that beats this without headshots and without attachments is the Fennec, but that's held back by its magazine capacity potential combined with its extremely high fire rate, so it just burns through ammo way too quickly for dealing with whole squads of armored enemies. So yeah, this thing kills incredibly fast compared to pretty much everything else out there. And that's really what you want in close range situations. You want to be putting people down as fast as possible. As for our headshot damage, this is 47, and this means if we hit 2 headshots mixed in with body shots in the maximum damage range, it will take 1 less shot to kill, and our new 3-plate time to kill will be 421 milliseconds. I would say don't worry about headshots so much with this gun, just get those shots on target as fast as possible, aim for center mass, and you'll put that target down plenty fast without headshots. Now, moving on to range, this is where this gun really struggles compared to a lot of the other SMGs out there. Its maximum damage range is only 9 meters, which means you basically have to be in the same room as somebody. You really want to be closing the distance with this. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend pairing this with a sniper rifle. Instead, I would pair this with an assault rifle, something that's going to handle your mid-ranges as well, because this isn't going to be a mid-range gun, just a close-range one. You can also see our bullet velocity is standard for a Cold War SMG at 350 meters per second. And while this bullet velocity isn't great, it's more than enough for the ranges that you should be using this SMG in. And this just finally leaves us with recoil for our base stats. And this gun has pretty much straight vertical recoil, and the initial recoil is quite high. It really wants to kick upward quickly, but it will stabilize at some point, and it does hit its maximum magnitude, and then it just won't go above that. But overall, especially in the ranges you should be fighting in, this is a very controllable recoil pattern, especially when we start adding attachments. So now that we have that out of the way, let's start going through the class setup that I got for you guys. And like I said, this is quite an interesting one. Let's start it off with the muzzle. This is going to be the agency suppressor, just because this is sort of a given on almost every gun in the game, or every Cold War gun. It just has so many advantages to it. Main thing is it keeps you off the radar, but you also get boosted bullet velocity and boosted range. So yeah, obviously just a no-brainer there. Then let's get into our underbarrel attachment, and for this we're going to be using the Field Agent Grip simply because this is the one that helps the most with our recoil. And it's nice to get that recoil a bit under control because, like you saw earlier, it's got quite high kick initially. But then after that we got the 50-round drum mag, not the Salvo 50-round fast mag. That one's going to slow our aim down sight time too much, so I'd rather just stick with the standard 50-round drum mag, which is awesome. That's plenty of ammo to deal with multiple armored enemies, or vehicles, which we'll look at in a little bit. But then after that, I considered using a stock attachment like the Raider stock, which would allow us to strafe a little bit faster while aiming down sight. But the thing is, with the SMGs, you don't get enough of a boost from this, in my opinion at least, to make much of a difference in a gunfight. You're not really going to be strafing back and forth all that fast in a gunfight, and I would say certainly not enough to be throwing people off target. So as a result, I would rather focus on hip fire on this, which would allow us to stray faster in a gunfight and keep that high mobility when up close and personal, while still being quite accurate. So this is why I'm using the 5 milliwatt laser in our laser attachment. Now, that's not to say that you should never aim down sight. It just gives you that extra ability to hip fire if the situation calls for it. If you want to maintain that high mobility, you can hip fire while strafing back and forth or jumping around or doing whatever you need to do to dodge bullets. And this just leaves us with one attachment, and this is going to be a barrel attachment. And usually I don't leave this to last because it's usually a pretty easy choice. However, after doing a bunch of testing with the barrel attachments on the Cold War MP5, normally I'd go with something like a reinforced heavy barrel because it helps with your damage range as well as your bullet velocity, which are normally really important stats. Or maybe I'd focus on a barrel that just boosts our bullet velocity or just boosts our damage range. But the thing is, since our maximum damage range is already so short and we get a percentage increase from these barrels, we really don't see a large net increase to our damage range with any of these barrels. Even with that agency suppressor, which helps our range a little bit, if you use a reinforced heavy barrel, our maximum damage range goes from 9 meters up to 10 meters. Or if we use the rifled barrel, this is the one that just boosts our effective damage range. Again, this goes from 9 meters up to maybe 10.5 meters at most. And therefore, any difference to our damage range here from the barrels is negligible. It's really not going to affect any situations. And then when we look at our bullet velocity, like I said earlier, if we're using this for those super close quarter situations and we're not trying to use it as a mid-range SMG, which this isn't designed to be used for, our base bullet velocity is totally fine as is. And this does something really interesting that you wouldn't want to do with a lot of guns in this game. This frees up the ability to use the Cavalry Lancer barrel. And what this does is it significantly boosts the amount of damage we deal to vehicles, and it has no apparent downsides as well. I haven't found any downsides, at least, for using this. And you might think it's kind of weird to use an SMG to destroy vehicles because you wouldn't think of it as high damage or having much potential to destroy vehicles. But as you can see here, against every vehicle aside from the cargo truck, it takes less than a full magazine to destroy that vehicle with this MP5 with the Cavalry Lancer barrel. And then when it comes to the cargo truck, you're on the verge of disabling it after putting an entire magazine into it. So when it comes to cargo trucks, you can still be very effective at dealing a ton of damage to them, and you can whittle its health down over time. You just can't like instantly melt it like you can with a lot of the other vehicles, surprisingly. And I think this is a really interesting choice for an SMG. It's not something I would normally think of adding onto an SMG, but it does have a lot of potential here. If you have a good team that's approaching you and they've got a trophy system on their vehicle, many times your best bet is to just make sure you don't get hit by them and try your best to shoot the people that are in the vehicle. Whereas with this, against an SUV or attack rover, you can just destroy the vehicle itself as they're approaching you, and many times you can blow that vehicle up before it even gets to you if they're coming straight at you. And this would be compounded more if you're playing a squad-based mode and a coordinated squad is using this setup. When you know a vehicle is starting to approach you, if you've got some communication, everybody can just swap to this SMG and you will blow that vehicle up nearly instantly, and it doesn't matter if they have a trophy system equipped on it. And the best part about this is there's not much of a trade-off with this Cold War MP5 to use the Cavalry Lancer barrel compared to a different barrel attachment. So yeah, if you guys haven't given this setup a shot yet, I highly encourage you to give it a go and just see how it feels. This thing is going to be absolutely dominant at clearing out rooms, and it will destroy people in really close quarter situations. And then on top of that, you get the added benefit of being able to take vehicles out very quickly. So if you see someone approaching you, just quickly swap to your MP5 and you can blow them up, no problem. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about this class setup? What do you guys think about the idea of having that SMG that's also really effective for taking vehicles out? Just let me know those thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.